If I were to try to explain to someone in the future how free societies of today slid into totalitarianism all at the same time, I'd say it didn't happen overnight. It happened step by step, in phases so subtle most people hardly noticed them as they unfolded. It began in the 2010s with a shift in language. Words like diversity, equity, inclusion, and safety spread through schools, HR departments, media, and even churches. They sounded kind, but their meanings quietly changed. Disagreement was no longer a point of view. It was branded as harm or right-wing extremism. Lessons turned into directives. Bureaucrats, HR officers, and activists set the tone, while the rest of us nodded along. And history shows how easily small, disciplined groups can steer much larger bodies. 1% activists in authority positions, joined by roughly 9% sympathizers, can effectively direct the 90% who remain passive. That's how soft words began to carry hard rules. By the late 2010s, campus-style politics spilled into the wider culture. Statues were toppled, protests escalated, and leaders bent to the mob. Debate gave way to theater. Ordinary people learned to keep their heads down, say the line, and just move on. But then came the crisis of 2020. COVID. Safety became the master key. Governments, platforms, and employers asserted sweeping control over daily life. Not with tanks, but with memos, mandates, and press conferences. Questions were flagged as misinformation. Temporary measures hardened into permanent rules. This is how ideologies move forward. Declare an emergency, suspend limits, and silence today's heretics in the name of tomorrow's promised salvation. Since then, punishment has shifted from mobs to systems. The pressure was no longer cultural, it was structural. Licenses are threatened or pulled, credentials voided, investigations opened for incorrect remarks. Algorithms quietly throttle reach. Parents questioning school boards are treated as security risks. In Canada, Freedom Convoy supporters discovered donations could mean frozen bank accounts. In the UK, comedians have been arrested over social media posts. The branding still says equity and inclusion, but the meanings have flipped. Equity levels down, inclusion excludes, and safety licenses coercion. However, the story isn't finished. We're not in the gulags, but we are in the state that prepares people to accept them. One path ends in open tyranny, a world out of Orwell's 1984. The other is rarer, the one-in-a-million victory where truth-tellers hold the line. That ending is only possible if we stop pretending, if we defend the punished, and re-anchor our lives in family, faith, and community. The final chapters aren't written. Which way it goes depends on us.